Gaertner, work at the Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs. You heard this morning from us, Matt Beaton, as well as from Commissioner LeBeau, that there is a strong commitment at the senior level within Energy and Environmental Affairs for urban agriculture. What I want to do is drill down a little bit and give you some of the details about some of the things and resources available to you to advance urban agriculture, as well as to talk about how planning can be useful to you in the sort of cause we're all here to advance. So I'm a planner, and I know that there are a lot of planners in the room, and I happen to think that that is a very useful perspective from which to approach these questions of land and urban agriculture and how to provide it. Because after all, as planners, we are asked, first of all, to be proactive, but to think for the long term. We're asked to engage the public and seek, you don't always find, but seek consensus. And certainly that's an important thing around the issues of urban agriculture. And I think most importantly, we are to look for the outcome that is in the best interest of our community, the people we work for. And I think that what we all have in mind here is something that does work very much in the best interests of the community. So planning and urban agriculture, how can that be advanced? I happen to think we're at a very interesting transition point where a lot of the really early, passionate folks who advance this more ad hoc, and we're transitioning, I would argue, a bit to more of a formal engagement with the city and town officials, and getting at the regulations and the kinds of things that can advance the cause, such as you heard from Mayor Bertatoni and the regulations that they have put in place in Somerville or here in Boston. And I know that there are others in the audience here today who are interested in doing the same thing, looking at the sort of regulatory scheme in the community and looking at ways to advance urban agriculture. So how can that be done? Sure, lots of success. You folks represent that success and just sort of doing it ad hoc, passionate advocates, going out and getting things done. But there are also ways to get more into the formal planning process, and let me talk briefly about a few of those. Slides here on the top left-hand side there, you see the cover of the New Bedford Open Space and Recreation Plan. What we are seeing more and more is that communities, government is more and more taking urban agriculture, dealing with issues of agriculture in a city setting, and addressing it through the formal planning process. This is a great place to engage in that sort of planning. It can also be done on a regional scale. We know that Mark Grayson is here from the Metropolitan Area Planning Council. The folks here at MAPs and the RPA for Greater Boston have certainly taken on agricultural issues. I know that other RPAs across the state are interested in doing that as well, interested in being a resource to the communities that are within their jurisdiction. And either way, whether you're addressing it sort of ad hoc, you're doing it through a more formal planning process of the Space and Recreation Master or other plan, this is a good opportunity, since we're getting into the state and government, local municipalities are engaged, to address some of the things that can be done best at that level. Inventories of vacant parcels can be looked at, much easier to do as a city or town official to get access to that sort of information, to be able to look at existing park facilities and determine whether there are opportunities within an existing park for the creation, say, of a community garden in a place that's not otherwise being utilized to its full capabilities. So I would urge you to take a look at sort of a formal process, to involve yourself in it, take advantage of the planning resources within government to do that. I also wanted to make folks aware of a tool that the Executive Office is producing, inspired by work that Trust Public Land has done initially for the 26 gateway cities, so-called. You see on the right-hand side there something called a Park Planning and Assessment Tool. The idea here is to take advantage of resources to work with the 26 gateway cities initially, and then, presuming the success that we're hoping for, move on to other communities. Provide a means of looking very systematically at opportunities within those communities for all kinds of open spaces, urban agriculture and others, to look at neighborhoods that are underserved, to look at the demographics, to take into account local preferences, and to provide a resource whereby funding from not just the city or town, but also the Commonwealth can be best focused to advance open space in those communities. So for the 26 gateway cities, we've started a process of interviews with those communities to customize the tool to work with you. We haven't been to your gateway city yet, we're coming. And other communities, again, presuming success, this tool will be rolled out to you folks as well. I also wanted to talk about funding. A number of questions from, to the last panel about how the state can be best advancing the cause of urban agriculture. There were some line items, as was pointed out in the last environmental bond bill, that can help to advance the cause. There's certainly provision of model zoning and things like that. But one of the folks on the panel said, well, one of the things we can do that would help us the most is help us with land acquisition and to improve lands for urban agricultural purposes. And I wanted to point out 2 programs that can help you with that cause. Now, I admit I'm making a number of PowerPoint etiquette violations with this slide, but my intent here was, I know that these slides are going to be available, and I wanted you to have all the basic information on these 2 programs on that slide so you can access it later. The first program that's listed on here was mentioned in my introduction, is called PARC, P-A-R-C. And this program is long-standing. It had once been called Urban Self-Help. It can be used for a wide variety of urban park activities. Importantly, both for land acquisition and for improvement of land for a variety of purposes, including the creation of urban agricultural opportunities and community gardens. Heather earlier mentioned park grant was used for those community gardens we saw in the city of Lawrence. In the last 3 years, there have been community gardens in Somerville, Salisbury, Medford, and Haverhill funded through the park program. All of those last 4, by the way, were as part of a larger park improvement, but there's no reason why this can't be done as an activity in and of itself. So that is one way in which the monies can be provided. It's open to all cities and all towns with a population of 35,000 or greater automatically. They're automatically eligible. I suspect most of the communities in the room fit that category. If you do not, there are some other provisions whereby you can qualify as a statewide project. The grants are on a reimbursement basis. They're from 52 to 70% of the cost and up to $400,000 for the purposes of acquisition and improvement. Stop with that one. The one on the bottom here is called the Gateway City Parks Program. That one focused on the 26 so-called gateway cities as defined in state statute. But again, this is another funding source that can be used for the purpose of creating urban agriculture for advancing community gardens and the like in the 26 gateway cities. It is one, as I say, where there is a list of eligible communities. I have to manage that program, so I'd be happy to talk to communities about that particular program and the sources of funding for that one. And then I'd like to conclude by, well, I was trying to make up for a slide that was entirely text with a slide that showed you a nice outcome. What you can see on that slide is a community garden in the city of Fitchburg. And to me, this one is a good way to conclude this. It is a site of a former mill, about 5 acres. The mill burned down. The land was created, land was purchased, the park was designed, the park was created. It includes community gardens on the site. Those community gardens have raised beds, as we've talked about, given the past history of the site, probably no surprise. But the bottom line here is that this is a Gateway City Parks grant, one I happen to be familiar with, and it is possible to succeed in the creation of these things, and many of you already know that. And with Kevin, I'll be happy to answer questions at the end. Thank you.